Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the future and exploring 10 things that will disappear from society in the next 10 years. Let's get started. It's fascinating to predict the absence of things. We're often focused on what's next, forgetting what must recede into the background. This isn't about loss, but the evolution of our tools and habits. The next decade promises rapid changes. Some vanishings might seem obvious, others more surprising. Join me on this journey into the future. The smartphone. It feels almost absurd to suggest its demise, doesn't it? This sleek rectangle of glass and metal has become an extension of our brains, our social lives, our everything. But the history of technology is a history of integration and miniaturization, of interfaces becoming more intuitive, more seamless to the point of near invisibility. Consider the trajectory, from room-sized computers to desktops to laptops to the device in our pockets. The next logical step isn't necessarily a smaller rectangle, but perhaps no distinct, holdable device at all, in the way we currently conceive it. Augmented reality, for instance, once the stuff of science fiction, is steadily creeping into the mainstream. Imagine a world where the information, the connectivity, the applications we now access by staring down at a screen are instead overlaid onto our field of vision, contextually relevant and instantly available. The discrete actions we associate with our smartphones could simply melt into the broader fabric of our digitally augmented lives, making the phone itself a relic of a more siloed technological age. A fascinating and slightly unnerving prospect. The physical bank branch. For generations it stood as a cornerstone of Main Street, a symbol of financial stability and community presence. But the winds of digital change are blowing fiercely through the financial sector, and the grand, often marble-columned bank branch is increasingly looking like an artifact of a bygone era. The rise of digital banking has been nothing short of revolutionary. We can now manage our finances, transfer funds, pay bills, and even apply for loans from the palm of our hand at any time of day or night. The infrastructure of physical branches, the rent, the staff, the security represents a significant overhead that purely digital banks simply don't have, allowing them to offer more competitive rates and lower fees. Banks themselves are actively encouraging the shift to digital, closing less profitable branches and investing heavily in their online and mobile platforms. The bank branch of the future, if it exists in significant numbers, may look very different, smaller, more specialized, perhaps focused on advisory services rather than transactional ones. The act of driving. For many, it's a rite of passage, a symbol of freedom and independence. Yet if we look at the trajectory of automotive technology, particularly the rapid advancements in autonomous vehicles, it seems increasingly plausible that the human driver, in many contexts, is heading towards obsolescence. Self-driving cars, trucks, and delivery drones are no longer confined to the realm of science fiction. Companies are investing billions, and the technology is improving at an astonishing pace. The potential benefits are frequently touted: a dramatic reduction in accidents, increased efficiency in traffic flow, and the reclaiming of commute time for work or leisure. The economic ramifications are, of course, enormous. The entire profession of driving truck drivers, taxi drivers, bus drivers, delivery drivers faces a profound disruption. The empty driver's seat signifies more than just a technological advancement. It represents a fundamental reordering of our relationship with mobility, with our environment, and perhaps even with our sense of personal agency. The fax machine. For those of us of a certain vintage, the fax machine was once a marvel of near-instantaneous document transmission, a vital piece of office equipment. But let's be honest, in the grand scheme of technological evolution, its days have been numbered for quite some time. Secure email, encrypted file sharing, and legally binding electronic signatures are now robust and widely accepted. The very concept of printing a document, only to scan it into another machine that then transmits it over a phone line to be printed out again at the other end, seems almost comically inefficient from our current vantage point. The infrastructure that supports faxing analog phone lines is also in decline, further hastening its demise. The whir and screech will soon be sounds confined to museum exhibits on late 20th century office life. Network television. The very phrase evokes a certain era. Families gathered around a glowing box at a specific time each week to watch their favorite shows. But as I'm sure you've noticed, the way we consume video content has undergone a seismic shift, and traditional network television is finding itself increasingly on the periphery. The rise of streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, Disney+, and countless others, has fundamentally altered the landscape. Network television's business model, heavily reliant on advertising revenue tied to live viewership, is struggling to compete in this new paradigm. The internet has democratized content creation. YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. These platforms have empowered individuals to become broadcasters, creating niche content that can find a global audience without the need for a network intermediary. The decline of network television as the dominant force is not just a technological or business story, it's a cultural one, with ripples that will continue to spread for years to come. The landline telephone. For many of us, it was the sound of home, the specific ringtone, the comforting weight of the receiver, the long curly cord that tethered you to a particular spot in the house. But much like the dodo, the landline is rapidly heading towards extinction, made largely redundant by the ubiquitous mobile phone and the rise of internet-based communication. The sheer convenience and portability of mobile phones were the first major blows. The smartphone, of course, accelerated this trend exponentially by integrating calling with a universe of other applications, from messaging to video chat to internet access, all in one pocket-sized device. The infrastructure itself is aging, and telecom companies have less incentive to maintain it as subscriber numbers plummet. The disappearance of the landline is a quiet revolution, one that has crept up on us almost imperceptibly, yet it marks a profound change in how we connect, where we connect, and the very nature of what a phone call even means in the 21st century. The physical book, the heft, the smell, the rustle of pages. For centuries, books have been our primary vessel for knowledge and stories. E-books offer convenience, adjustable fonts, and instant access. Audiobooks provide a different way to experience literature. Physical books may not vanish, but could become less common, a testament to the evolution of how we share stories. The daily newspaper. For generations, it was the primary source of news and information, the agenda setter for public discourse, the chronicle of our communities and the wider world. But the ink-stained hands are becoming rarer, as the print newspaper faces an existential crisis in the digital age. The internet, quite simply, has upended the newspaper's traditional role. News is now available instantly, 24/7, from a multitude of online sources, news websites, blogs, social media feeds, news aggregators. The immediacy and accessibility of digital news have made the once daily cycle of the print edition seem slow and outdated. The decline of local print journalism is, I think, a particularly concerning aspect. The rustle of its pages, once a ubiquitous morning sound, is fading into the digital hum. The post office. Not just the building but the entire mail system. Blue mailboxes on street corners, the anticipation of personal letters. Digital communication is shrinking traditional mail. The future of this institution is uncertain. Email, text messaging, social media have made handwritten letters rare. Declining letter volume pressures postal services. Package delivery has boomed with e-commerce, but profits don't offset letter mail losses. The post office's role has shifted. Its future lies in specialized services, focusing on parcels and essential services, as letters become a trickle from the past. The paper check. That small rectangle of paper, authorizing the transfer of funds from one account to another, was once a cornerstone of personal and business finance. But in our increasingly digital and fast-paced world, the paper check is looking more and more like a relic, a slow and cumbersome method of payment in an age of instant digital transactions. The rise of electronic payment methods has been swift and comprehensive. Debit cards, credit cards, online banking transfers, peer-to-peer payment apps like Venmo or PayPal, mobile payment systems like Apple Pay or Google Pay. The options for moving money without paper are abundant, convenient, and often instantaneous. The inefficiencies of checks are glaring in comparison. The very concept of the check as in the mail is becoming an anachronism, a quaint excuse from a bygone era. Soon, it will likely join the ranks of other obsolete financial instruments, a curious artifact for future generations to ponder. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content about the future and technology. See you next time. The future is something we actively create through our choices and innovations. Each vanishing act opens up space for something new and better. What do you think will be the next big thing to fade into history? The conversation continues. Don't forget to be awesome.